34. Parts of the Caribbean island of St. Vincent is just unrecognizable. It has been a month since the eruption of the Ritzury volcano, spewing ash across the area and some nearby islands. More than 20,000 residents have been uprooted.
Two American businesswomen have joined forces to bring St. Vincent and the Grenadines back to its once grandeur. So one is currently actually on the ground at the scene of this disaster. The other joining us this morning with an update on ways that we can help. Please welcome Felicia Persaud, CEO of investcaribbean. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be joining you, and thank you so much for putting the spotlight on this natural and humanitarian disaster.
Absolutely. I mean, these islands, so very beautiful, and to see them just devastated like this. Give us an update on where they stand.
Well, the situation right now is that scientists have said the volcano has stopped erupting, at least in the past 24 hours. But the situation is dire because it is a humanitarian disaster. 20,000 people are displaced. You have a third of the country that is decimated. And now with the rainy season here, what is happening is what scientists are calling lahars. And these are mudslides that are sliding down from the volcano, bringing with it huge boulders and rocks and debris into the towns and into the cities. And these are decimating foundations of homes already covered by ash. So the situation is extremely dire. The roads are decimated. People are displaced. They have their livelihoods that they don't know where they're going to go back to. Yeah. And my partner, Danielle Corbin, she's on the ground firsthand, has been seeing this for an entire week and hearing the cries and the pleas of people. And our hearts are broken for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that's why we're doing our part as best as we can.
Yeah.
So many residents were evacuated from their homes, right? So how many, and you said 20,000, but where were they brought to? And is there any idea of when they'll be able to get back to their home to maybe check on it, get some of their belongings?
Yeah, absolutely. Many are in shelters, and these are basically schools that are basic schools and buildings, not places that have beds or cots or anything. People have been struggling with the clothes on their backs, many without food or water. And they don't know where they can go back to because for many of them, their homes are decimated, destroyed. Their farms, many are farmers. They have no more farms to go to. Their plants are covered in ash. So it is an ongoing disaster. We're not sure how long this is going to go. It is not just a hurricane that happened overnight. These are 32 eruptions that happened, coupled with earthquakes and mudslides and landslides. And so it is really a situation where we are appealing to people to please help. Please help these 20,000 people. Help us to help them make a difference because, this situation is they need homes to go back to. They need clothing. They need food. Those are the short-term needs.
Right.
The medium and long-term are the livelihoods that has to be replaced. And that is really what we're also concerned about with the hurricane season approaching.
The need is dire. It is immediate. So what can we do? Viewers watching, what can we do now?
Absolutely. We'd urge them to donate. We have a GoFundMe, St. Vincent Volcano Relief Disaster. You can find that on GoFundMe, or you can also log on to our website, investcaribbeannow.com. You'll get all the information. People, of course, can donate in kind as well as cash donations. And we're urging major corporations, especially those who do business in the Caribbean and the Caribbean island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, to join this effort. The government is completely over its head. It has hundreds of millions in damage, doesn't know where the money is going to come from in the midst of an economic recession and a pandemic. So we have to do our parts. As people, we need to be a blessing to each other, and that is our appeal this Friday morning.
Yeah, this is a little different than the hurricane, too, because, there hasn't been a volcano eruption in quite some time here. But we did see with many of the hurricanes and other islands that people really do want to help, right, especially when it comes to resources. They may not have the cash, but they certainly can donate some resources. What are some items or supplies that people can gather to send over?
Absolutely. Clothing is now essential. People are living in shelters with just basically the clothes on their back. So they're asking for clothes. Students are asking for books, crayons, board games, and of course, food and water is still essential because you have to feed about 20,000 people. And so those are basically the items. Of course, PPP items. COVID is still an issue, and it is rising in the island because so many people are in these shelters without a home. So these are all the ways we have it on our website. People can email us or contact us or simply log on to our Gofundme page, and we'll be happy to help you and direct the aid there and get it in as quickly as possible. And we're in the midst of actually our first donation there on the ground right now.
Yeah, we're looking at some of the items as well. You're talking about antibiotics, mosquito repellent, first aid kits that are needed. And you did mention the GoFundMe page. Let me ask you, you had mentioned at the top of this interview that there were no eruptions within the last 24 hours. Are you expecting more? I mean, is the damage not over?
That is exactly what the scientists are saying. As of last night, they have lowered actually the level to orange instead of red. But that does not mean that the threat is over. In fact, the seismologists at the UE Research Center last night said that the volcano can still erupt again. And that is the fear. But now the bigger fear is these landslides. As you can see in the images, these are huge boulders that are coming down from the mountains into cities, onto streets and houses. And now with the hurricane season approaching, it is almost a triple whammy. And that is what many people are afraid of, because where do you go back to when the house that you always knew and you grew up in and you lived in is completely devastated? The foundations are gone. Yeah. You have no livelihood. You have no food, no water, and your children are looking at you. Think about that this Mother's Day. And I think that is really the sort of imagery we want to give, because, you know, Danielle is on the ground and she has been sharing some horrific footage and images daily. So it really tugs at the heart. And I'm in this because my heart is broken for my Caribbean brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It could be St. Vincent and the Grenadines right now, but it could be another country coming up with the hurricane season. And we're there as Invest Caribbean to always be there to support and help, not just for the short term, but the long term as well. And we hope everyone that's watching will join us. Yeah,
long-term aid is definitely needed. Felicia, thanks so much for the work that you and Danielle are doing, and thanks for informing our viewers of just the immediacy of efforts that are needed to help folks who are trying to survive this.
Thank you so much for putting the spotlight on this.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, 8:41 right now. It's finally